I'm Antonio Graceffo, the author of The Monk from Brooklyn and the host of the web TV show Martial Arts Odyssey. But today, I want to talk about the long-necked Karen, one of the many ethnic groups from Burma who's been subjected to genocide, torture, and rape, driven from their homeland, and are now trying to eke out some type of living in Thailand. Tourists come from all over the world to get a look at Thailand's long-necked Karen tribe. Well, first of all, they're not actually from Thailand, they're from Burma. And second of all, they're not Karen. They're called the Padong people. Karen is a name that was imposed on them by outsiders. And one more thing, when you go to look at the Karen in Thailand, just remember that what you're looking at is refugees from the war in Burma. Since gaining independence from Great Britain in 1949, Burma has been the site of a civil war as tribal armies battle for autonomy and even for the right of continued existence. The fighting has driven hundreds of thousands or possibly millions of tribal refugees over the border into neighboring Thailand. Some of them make it to the UN refugee camps, get UN recognition as refugees and go into a queue waiting for resettlement in the United States, Australia, or Europe. Others, such as Thai Shan, who look and speak very similar to the Thai people, can just melt into the crowd. They can assume fake identities and live and work in Thailand for years without being discovered. For the long-necked Karen, or the closely related big-eared Karen, so called because of large metal adornments they've forced into their bodies each year from a young age, melting into the crowd is impossible. The elongated neck and the metal rings can be seen from a great distance and identify the Karen as non-Thai. The UN would most likely accept the Karen, but nearly 100% of them will be recognized before reaching the camps. They'll be scooped up and deposited in one of the many artificial tourist villages in Mae Hong Son province, where visitors are charged an entrance fee. Busloads of tourists come each day from all over the world to buy factory-made souvenirs and to gawk at the long-necked Karen. The road from a UN refugee camp to resettlement in a third country is long, but for the Karen in any of the tourist villages, the journey will be impossible. They're not on a queue. They're not on anyone's radar screen. They're not officially refugees and never will be. They're not Thai citizens and never will be. They're not even legal foreign workers and they never will be. They're prisoners, faced with a fatal alternative: work in the sideshow or go back to the war. Meanwhile, someone is making a lot of money off the presence of these women. The women we interviewed for this documentary obviously are afraid to have their names said. They're afraid to come out and speak openly. But what they told us was that they don't have Thai ID cards, they don't have Thai citizenship, they don't have Burmese citizenship. They're essentially stateless people with almost no rights, living at the mercy of the Puyai Ban, or the people who run these tourist villages. The whole time we were doing these interviews, spies, basically people who work for the owners and possibly also for the government or the police, were hanging around, making the women nervous, kind of shooing us away. They didn't like us talking to them. As for the rings, a lot of people think that the rings make the neck longer. Actually, the rings force the shoulder blades down. The girls get one ring per year over a period of years. One of the girls that we interviewed had 25 rings. She told us that in this particular village, the woman with the most had 27. Asking these people where they were from just illustrated how horrible the situation is. I mean, they knew they were from Burma. They couldn't really tell you where their village was or what they probably knew the name of the village, but they wouldn't know where it was. They wouldn't know how to get back there. They are aware that there is a war going on because maybe they saw their family murdered or their village burned or some other horrible atrocities, but they don't really understand the war itself. And if you ask them to explain, well, why is there a war and what's going on and who is Aung San Suu Kyi, they'd probably have absolutely no idea. In Burma, the Karen people would be engaged in agriculture as well as hunting and gathering forest products, as their people have done for centuries. But in the tourism villages, they work as full-time sellers of trinkets. Normally, the Karen culture would be tied to the land and the jungle and the agricultural rhythms of nature. As salespeople, the Karen have lost their culture completely. We even asked them if anybody was farming. These girls said there's no one farming in these villages. The women are paid a small wage for living in the villages, but only if they wear their rings. And we actually met one girl who took off all of her rings and just refused to wear them. So her salary stopped. The men don't earn any money. And in fact, if you look around the village, you don't see any men. There are men, but they're living in a real village sort of behind this tourist village. And when I say a real village, I mean a real village in the sense that they're living there, but it's not real because it's not traditionally the way Karen would be living. But the men are living there. They have nothing to do all day. I've heard that alcoholism and drug abuse is really high, but because they have no purpose. But the women earn all the money, and they work in these shops. They don't get the money from the things that they sell. One of the women told us that a Chinese businessman comes in the morning, drops off all the products. They sell them all day. At the end of the day, he comes back and he counts how many are missing, and she has to pay for them. So it is possible that if she's marked up the products during the course of the day and sells them, she can actually clear some profit on them. But if she's selling them at cost, then she's not making any profit. The women said that their salary is 1,500 baht per month, and then they get another 180 baht per person in their family per month for rice. 180 baht is about $6, so $6 a month for food, and a salary of 1,500, which is about 45 US dollars, and that's what they get for working every day, all day in this sham village. These villages shouldn't be called villages. They should be called refugee camps, and they're really human zoos. I mean, these are places where people go to gawk at people that are different than themselves, and it's quite horrible. And interestingly, now that I'm away from Thailand and I'm dealing with pro-Burma groups, or I'm talking to pro-Burma or pro-Aung San Suu Kyi, they're completely unaware of this tribal issue that's going on in Burma. They're unaware of the genocide. They're unaware of the war. And then interestingly is even people that are aware of that don't make the connection with these long-necked Karen. And in fact, these long-necked Karen are on many tourism posters and brochures and things for Thailand. Discover Thailand, amazing Thailand. But actually these people are not Thai at all. They're Burmese, and they're not Burmese at all. They're Karen, and they're not Karen at all. They're Padong. I'm Antonio Graceffo, and as always, please say a prayer for all the people of Burma.